This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time.
He's got him. Side Dobbs is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Good morning. Just when you thought it was safe, nope. It's Thursday, right? It's Thursday. It's Thursday, and it's another edition of Ken and Ken in the morning. And there's a Broski Bear in the house and a Timu Joe Rogan. Joseph is in the house. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Ken.
Yeah, Ken, you're supposed to take your drink.
Why did they change the coffee porno music?
You changed that a while ago, man.
We used to have that funky bass line.
Come on, now we're like the Sarah McLachlan commercial. Podcast.
Yeah.
And
For just 37 cents a day, you too can have Bear 6 Actual.
Yeah, or Foxtrot Actual, or Task Force Whiskey, or Task Force Foxtrot. Now he's doing tea too. He does have a tea line out now. He just came out with. So enough people ask for tea that there's now tea on the Veterans of America Roastery website. So, or you could just click on buymeacoffee.com link there in the comments and help me buy a cup of coffee.
What is it, England?
What now?
I said, when did we become British? What is that?
Really, a lot of people, I actually had a cup of tea yesterday. Sometimes at night, if I want something hot to drink, but I don't want coffee, I'll make tea. You know what I mean? I mean, if I want something hot, I don't want coffee. It's like either tea or hot chocolate. And well, there's not 13,000 inches of snow on the ground like Ken gets in the winter, so tea becomes the default.
Come on, man. I just got out of winter. You don't got to remind me of that shit.
Snow. Snow.
Just do my part, Ken, remind you that there are better places to live than upstate New York.
Yeah.
Such as anywhere there's not
I don't
snow.
worry about getting whacked with a fucking hurricane. Usually don't got to worry about getting whacked with a tornado.
Wait, hold on a second. New York gets whacked with hurricanes?
Not fucking upstate New York.
Maybe not upstate, but what was that?
I was going to say, you got to be in New York City for that shit.
Didn't one hit upstate New York, or at least upstate New York coastline a couple years ago? Morning,
Well,
Nichols.
upstate New York doesn't have a coastline.
There you go. Oh, look,
There he is. Right on cue.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'll take the occasional hurricane over the 14,000 feet of snow you get every year. Good morning, man.
the worst part is it's not even every year. The past few winters, man, we had just a couple of snowfalls. It was great. Last year, we got absolutely piss pounded.
Nicholas dropping the movie references, the Hunger Games. Yeah, the President Snow. I remember that. Took me a second. I'm still getting the coffee through my system. Luke is taking shots at Joe. Uh-oh. Joe knows. In a former life, maybe.
Actually,
I think he said
actually, I
Joe's
used
hitting
to
the
live in
slopes.
Vermont. I used to live in Vermont, so
Well, there you go. Joe frozen the transition from car to house.
I was going to
Yep.
say, shit, see, we're talking about snow and Joe's all frozen.
Yeah, Bernie didn't like that comment.
I used to live in Vermont, so I actually do know about that kind of stuff and the cocaine. Like I know about both of them.
It's okay, Joe. You're in good company because me too.
But then again, I don't have to worry about frozen pipes and whatnot, ice on the road.
I was going to say, I don't got to worry about frozen pipes either, but it helps when you have your house insulated properly.
Yeah. I tell you, these little things. I don't even have to worry about that. I don't get that.
By house, do you mean igloo?
This is a pretty damn expensive igloo.
There are winters here where you have to run the heat at all the entire winter. Just saying. I mean, Ken, like I said, you can have New York, and you can pay taxes there too.
Yeah, that's not the fun part.
Yeah, the reason we're talking about so much snow.
Your mic cut out again.
The reason we're talking about snow this morning is not because Tyreek Hill is wrong. As far as we know, he hasn't today. Literally nothing happened in the NFL yesterday. Like nothing. Like no one got signed, no one got traded. The only news article is on the Jaguars that said literally nothing. It basically said, well, there's a new regime and they wanted Genti, but they didn't get Genti in the draft. But they have NTN on the roster. Okay, great article. I guess he had a deadline to put something out, and that's like, well, at least it's something. But yeah, it's kind of slow. We did talk last night a little bit on Halsall, picking up where we left off yesterday morning and the Bears running back situation. Woody's like, look, I'm good, right? I don't need to add anyone. But this whole idea of the Bears, looking for a running back, I'm still not against it. But it's like, Nick Chubb is a good idea. I could. The more we talked about it, Wisconsin all day snow. I mean, look, if the Bears got Nick Chubb on $2 or $3 million, and cap space is not an issue, which I don't think it is in this case. I mean, I'm trying to find the downside to that. I'm really trying to find a downside to that. I mean, okay, maybe it says that Roshan, you're on the way out, right? We have no trust in you. Sorry, we didn't give you a chance. Whatever. Wouldn't be the first time or the last time that a fan favorite or a guy that the fans really like doesn't get what they think he deserves, right? I mean, it happens all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what about the Raiders? Okay, let's see the Raiders. You guys have a Bears, Lions, Vikings, and Packers show. So, Joe, when are you going to start a Raiders show?
I don't know how many Raider fans are actually watching this channel. So far, I think I'm the only one.
I was gonna say, you just about made my joke for me. I was gonna say there's 3 Raider fans out there anyway.
Oh, there's a lot. Come on, Ken. We travel everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, actually, believe it or not, a lot of Bears fans, folks living in Chicago like the Raiders too, as far as their AFC team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as Eric, I don't know which Ken you're asking about college team, but I don't do
He's
college.
asking about, I was going to say, he's asking about yours. He knows I don't really follow college.
Yeah, I don't follow college either.
Oh,
Well,
Ken and
good.
Ken, no college teams, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
wait,
if I have to pick, I guess I'll pick the place that's like 30 minutes from my house in Syracuse.
well, wait, he says if you don't have one, you can't say anything. Well, luckily, Eric, for you, we don't talk about college football much here at all. It's an NFL show, so that's great.
What about Joe? Does he have a college team? Where you at, Joe?
Cal Bears, baby.
Yeah, I guess the only reason we have a Raiders show is all John would do is come on and troll it all day. And,
I live 40 miles away from Cal Berkeley, so they're my number one. But I also like Notre Dame because I have ever since I saw Rudy when I was a kid.
So is it almost riot season there at Cal Berkeley? Does that go before football or after football season?
It's pretty much anytime they feel like it. Anytime, somebody violates their safe space or, Trump says something they don't like.
So daily, yeah. Yeah, Rudy.
Yeah, exactly. Who didn't become, if you were a kid when Rudy came out, you became a Notre Dame fan, dude.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I was way too young when I saw it. Like it was a good movie, but it definitely wasn't making me a fan of a football team.
So back to Nick Chubb real quick, as Eric derailed us with college football for some weird reason when we're talking about Nick Chubb. Thank you for that, Eric. Appreciate that. I just don't really like the college team. My daughter went to Syracuse. I don't know. I grew up in Chicago, so basically, you watch Northwestern if they made a bowl game or Notre Dame, and if U of I did something, okay, cool, but no one really cares about college in Chicago. But Joe, Nick Chubb, if the Raiders got him on a $2 million prove-it deal, would you be against him playing in Vegas?
No, I said that yesterday. That as far as for a mentor for Genty, and a good second back, I would $2 million for Chubb. I'll take it. $3 million, because it's not going to be all guaranteed. And if he doesn't have it anymore, you can cut him, and you're really, what's your cap hit? It'd be $1 million, $1.5 million.
1 year prove-it deal. So what about you, Ken? Pair him up with Josh Jacobs. Why not?
Just because we already had drafted Marshawn Lloyd last year, and Eric Wilson, who was pretty damn decent last year. So I already think there's going to be a hard enough time getting the carries split between the running backs that we have. I just personally wouldn't want to add them.
So let me take what Ken's comment said, because Ken, whether he realized it or not, exemplifies why the Packers haven't taken that jump. They've been a winning team that makes the playoff every year, but they don't make the jump. And Ken's giving me a look like, what did I do? Well, because look, they always say mediocrity. Here you have a chance at Nick Chubb, who, if he's on point with that, Josh Jacobs, those two back there, that'd be the best running back room in the NFL, right? If Nick Chubb's on point, he's back healthy. He's no, because we got a guy who did decently well last year, and we got this other guy who's whatever, he was pretty good. Dude, it's Nick freaking Chubb. If you could add him to a running back room with a stud running back you've already got, and you're saying no because we had this guy who was decent last year. Broski, to me, that's why teams don't progress. They're unwilling to take that because, we had this guy like Ian Wheeler who was really good in the preseason last year. They got hurt. So we wouldn't want Nick Chubb on a $2 million flyer and take the chance that he could be back to form, right? Right, Broski?
Yeah, at this point, I just don't really have any faith that Chubb is going to even last half a season. And he definitely won't be any type of long-term solution at running back. I'd rather just, honestly, we didn't address it in the draft. We didn't address it with a high-profile free agent. So I'd rather just give Swift, Roschon, and Monangai a chance this year and be like, hey, guys, this is your chance between you three. You're going to carry the load this season. Let's see who steps up and makes a name for themselves. and possibly, is then included in the long-term plans for running back for the Bears.
See, now, Joe, that's probably the better way to give the same answer Ken gave without seeing. Well, I had a guy who was decent, but I mean, isn't that the kind of? Hold on, I'll get back to you in a second. Let me let Joe answer this. But Joe, isn't that kind of like the rub on Chubbs? Like you're taking a $2 million flyer and a guy who could be, if he's to form, could make your running back room paired up with another guy, your other good running back. Because every team represented here has at least one really good running back. You could take that running back room to the next level on a $2 million flyer. But both Broski and like, nah, that's okay. We won't even take the chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about risk management, like, and how much risk you're willing to take. And so for Broski to, if he's not willing to take that $2 million flyer, then that means, he really thinks that Chubb is washed. And, that's his opinion. And that's, I don't necessarily wholeheartedly disagree with him. I think it's a $2 million flyer for a reason, because I think the odds are against Chubb returning to form. But on the off chance that he does, what's $2 million in the NFL, man? Like, you know what I mean?
And
it's like you're paying guys that are third stringers $2 million a year. So it's like,
I mean, it's not an illogical approach or thought for sure. It's just based on my observations. I just think it would be a complete waste of time. So yeah, it wouldn't cost you much, but at the same time, it's like, and then it also takes away time from, okay, hey, he's not going to be your long-term solution, even if he does pan out this year. So now you don't know what you have in Swift. Now you don't know what you have in Rashawn. Now you might not have tested Monangai to see what he's all about either. So
here's the thing, though, like Broski and Ken, and then we'll go to Ken first on this. We both have guys who's running back 4 who's like, yeah, the fans kind of like him, but come on, the dude could be on the practice squad for a year, and it's not going to negatively affect the team. And the player might just be happy to have a job, right? So, I mean, with the Bears, you can keep Monangai, you can keep Rojo, you could sign Chubb and have Swift. For the Packers, you could drop whoever your running back 4 is down to the practice squad and probably re-sign him to the practice squad, no issues. And then you can sign Chubb, and if Chubb gets hurt, cut him and bring the guy off the practice squad in both cases. So that's what I'm saying. There's that whole thing, fortune favors the bold. I mean, that would be kind of a bold, not a completely bold move, but okay, you've got a guy who's, a fourth stringer you could cut and probably no one else in the league would really go after. Why not just, cut the guy, throw him on the practice squad, sign Chubb on a $2 million flyer, and if it works, great. If not, you cut him and you bring up the guy who's on the practice squad still developing with the team.
I'd at least go to his workout.
Joel, let me go to Ken on this. This was the Ken.
Now with Green Bay here, Wilson, our backup running back last year, was averaging 4.9 yards per carry versus Chubb's 3.3. That's a major reason why I wouldn't want to replace Wilson with him. And then Marshawn Lloyd, before he had the injury plagued year last year, was looked at as one of the major steals of the draft that previous year. And he has a style that complements Jacobs. If you put Chubb and Jacobs, it's like running back.
Your fourth guy?
Brooks, he showed a shit ton of promise. But if I had to, gun to my head type of situation, yeah, that'd be the guy I'd try to kick down to the practice squad. I just don't think he would make it to the practice.
You could stash that dude to the practice squad. Dude, ain't nobody trying to get him or Ian Wheeler for the Bears. Those dudes, you can stash on the practice squad. Now, though, I think you do make a point, though, we're between the Bears and the Packers, there's a little apples and oranges going on here, right? Because your number one running back is kind of like a run the ball through the middle kind of guy. You need a guy who does what Swift does, right? Does the edge and has home run speed. Because you don't have a home run speed guy. You've got a bunch of guys who like to ram the ball down the middle. And that's worked for Green Bay, but you need a Swift-ish type of running back to complement your starter.
That's why I don't want to replace
right. And
Wilson
Chubb's not
and Lloyd with Chubb.
right, because you're just getting more of the same. For the Bears, we have Roschon, like you say, well, we have a guy who was a steal of the draft. Well, people said that about Rojo, and we haven't used him. Now, if I go to the Raiders, you've got Genty, who looks like he's a go through the middle kind of guy. But I don't know, he's young enough, he might be a swing guy, but I mean, they might make sense for Chubb because they don't have a deep running back room. And you go to some of these other teams where it's not that deep of a running back room, but it's like, look at a $2 million flyer to replace your running back 4 for any team, especially if your style doesn't have that guy who's really getting it done down the middle. Like, as much as I love Roschon Johnson, they haven't used him right, but he hasn't gotten it done either. And I like Monangai, the fact that he has no fumbles, this, that, and the other, but once again, unproven, and I can develop him for a year. And I don't have to run him out there. If I can run Chubb out there and teach the kid how to be a better runner down the middle with Chubb, and let's say I burn Chubb out after 4 games and have to cut him on an injury compensation cut, cool. I've taught the kid through camp in 4 games, right, how to be a running back in the NFL with a guy who runs in his style. I mean, that's kind of like maybe the perspective I would kind of look at it in a sense. Now, unless you think Chubb isn't going to do anything at all, that he's going to be, week 1 and out, then I guess.
See, the thing is, though, is like Chubb averaged 3.3 yards per carry last year, but he didn't play the whole. I'm not sure how many games he actually played in, number one. And number 2,
10.
He played 10 games. And so I think that, that was the first coming back from the injury. Like, I think, you're going to be a little bit
slow, rusty.
wary, rusty and also wary. Like, when you have an injury like that, like, psychologically, there's going to be a fear of that happening again for a little while. And like, so I think another year separated from that injury could help Chubb to like get over the psychological aspect. Who knows? I just he could do better than 3.3 yards per carry this season. I really do.
Oh, yeah, and if we didn't have the running back room that we have right now, I'd be more than willing to take the flyer on him because for $2 million, hey, you might get one of the better running backs in the league, or if the guy is done, all you wasted was $2 million.
Well, and here's the thing too: is like, at $2 million the flyer, he's going to be a good fit for more than a few teams. I get Broski's argument though too. He's like, the dude's washed. He's not even make half the season. But on one level, I don't care. I don't need him to make it the whole season at that level. If I've got a young guy I took in the 7th round who can use some mentoring with a guy who runs like his style, I mean, Chubb might be worth $2 million to bring him in if he plays half the year. Great. And last year, I mean, look at Cleveland, what dysfunctional mess they were. They weren't running the ball much. They weren't doing much of anything. I mean, that team was a hotter mess than Chicago in a lot of ways. So,
but knowing that Chubb's not going to be.
Let me finish the statement. His yards per carry last year, situationally, they were running a lot of times situationally where people knew they were going to run. I love the stat lines. What I hate about stat lines, and it's problematic for everything, is that you don't get the situationality into the basic stat lines we normally look at. Like, he ran not in the best situations last year. Even 3.1, okay, going down the middle, that's not terrible.
Yeah, and I think my thing is like knowing that, let's say Chubb is signed by the Bears and he plays, decent this year, like he's still not going to be like any type of long-term solution at running back. So knowing that, wouldn't you rather see truly what you have in Swift and Roschon, since, this could be the last year of Swift on the Bears if they want to opt out of his last year. This could be, Roschon, this is year 3 for him. So they have to kind of find out sooner rather than later what they have in him. That's the only, that's kind of my point as well. And I saw Motown Stitch's comment that I wanted to address. So Lions fans, again, they don't use any kind of logic. They just, just all emotional based. They hang on to this like Swift is so injury prone type of thing, which In the last 2 seasons, Swift has only missed 1 game. In the last 2 seasons, David Montgomery's missed 6 games. So who's really injury prone?
Well,
Because I saw, that's all I'm saying.
well, no, and you're right there too. And Jahmyr Gibbs didn't Jahmyr Gibbs miss a game or two already, a couple games already in his career. So I mean, players are going to miss a game here and there. Doesn't make them injury prone. But like honestly, I don't think unlike you. Broski likes to think that anyone we got out on, we're always taking you out. Like we're taking you out on Kmet, we're going to take you out on Swift. I don't necessarily think this is his last year. Broski, has stated a few times he thinks this is Swift and Kmet's last year in Chicago. I don't. Because look, Swift is a certain type of running back, and 950 yards last year with a shit old line that couldn't seal the edge for him more times than not is a pretty good year. If as far as short, long term, dude, I don't care about 5 years from now. Running backs last 3 to 4 years tops in this league. Roschon, if he doesn't work, whatever, we'll draft another. If Wheeler doesn't work, whatever, we'll draft another. Unfortunately, that's the way it is at running back in this league. Like long-term success in the league is 2 years at running back, it seems. I mean, think about it. LaDainian Tomlinson, after he set the 21 touchdown record, 2 years later was out of the league, washed up. Right? How many running backs do you really see that sustain for 10 years, 6 years? Then it's very few and far between. Yeah, you've got King Henry. Yeah, you've got like 3 or 4 guys in the league. Most of these guys that you look at your fantasy drafts, look at your fantasy teams over the last 5 years, right? Unless you have King Henry every year and you're drafting whoever, Etienne was really good for a year or two now. Now he hasn't. He wasn't good last year. He might not be good this year. Running backs their shelf life's like really 2 to 3 years. Your Matt Fortes of the world who are durable for 8 to 10 seasons. Your King Henrys of the world who are durable and good for 8 to 10 seasons. They are few and far between. And right now you've got guys like Swift and Jacobs and you got some good Aaron Jones, who's actually some Packer fans so was washed up, had a great season last year in Minnesota. That's your long term, 2 to 3 years. That's long term on a running back.
And I agree with you usually, but I got to push back on the LT thing. He had 8 years of being 1,000+ yard running back.
Right, but he set the NFL record for most touchdowns in a season, and then 2 years later is out of the league.
No, when he set that was 2006. He didn't leave the league till 2011.
Yeah, but was he productive those final years? Not as much.
Yeah, he put up 1,400 yards the year after, 1,100 after that, and then put up 900.
So it declined. Okay. But even that, those guys are rare.
And LT's a Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yeah. That was my point of it.
I'm not trying to take anything away from LT, but what I'm saying.
No, I know you're not. I was actually using that to point out he's one of those running backs that you're talking about. Those rare running backs that last 8 to 10 seasons. Like,
I mean, think about it. Think about the running backs that you've cheered for on your teams, or think about the running backs you've been going for in fantasy drafts, dude. 2 to 3 years in, they're done. Like the worst position you can keep in a keeper league is running back.
Yeah, but I mean that would actually support my thought on they're definitely getting out of Swift's contract after the season. Then, another thing, like if you look at the Bears' running backs compared to even just the rest of the division, I mean the Bears are last. So, you got Gibbs and Montgomery, you got Aaron Jones and that Mason guy. You got Josh Jacobs, and you don't really need anyone else. And then you have Swift and Roschon. And it's like, we don't know if Roschon's even a legit player. I mean, Swift is a solid running back, but we know he's not like a lead running back. And, you could definitely upgrade. So, I just want them to evaluate what they have this season since it wasn't addressed. Let's not reach for any guys that are old and past their prime. And let's address running back, next offseason. That's how I kind of look at it.
I think you're dead wrong because you have an elite running back in Swift. The problem is he's not a run down ball down the middle elite running back. He's an elite running back if you seal the edge. And we have a team that could not seal the edge. The dude's like the second or third fastest running back in the league. If you get him to the outside and seal that edge, He's gone. See you later. Bye-bye. No one's catching him. He's going to
Yeah, but a lead running back needs to have vision and needs to be able to run between the
more
tackles.
long runs than Josh Jacobs and none of these other guys. The only guys who break more long runs are like Saquon, who's like an everything back. Those guys are even more rare. But to say Swift is done after 1 year, dude, he already showed you if you fix your offensive line, he's a home run hitter who can bust off some really long runs with consistency. So, as far as I like Rojo as much as the next guy. But I mean, honestly,
Yeah, but you just said running backs only last 2 or 3 years. And
honestly, if I could get Nick Chubb to go in there and complement Swift and they both play well, then I can have them on the roster for 2 or 3 years as we enter a playoff window run. So, I mean, I don't see the downside in that. Like, there's no downside. I mean, so what? I give up on Ian Wheeler. Okay. What's my downside there? What's that? Give up on Roshan Johnson. What's my downside on that? I
well,
mean,
to me, Ian Wheeler's not even a consideration. Like he has no chance of making the team ever. So I mean, I don't even factor him in. Travis Homer, I mean, he's a special teams guy. That's why he's on the team. You know what I mean? I want young, fresh talents at running back, not old, crusty, let's reach and just try to see if we can prolong this guy's career type of guy. You know what I mean?
not getting that though. And
Can I
Luka,
throw something in there? Like
yeah, go ahead.
we've seen it happen before where guys, like for whatever reason, running backs leave one team, they go to another team and they do well. Like look at Joe Mixon. Like, I mean, there's cases where guys, for whatever reason, like they leave one team because their production declined and then they go to another team and then all of a sudden it just fits. So I'm not saying that that's guaranteed to be the case with Chubb, but Broski, you just said that your running back room is in need of an upgrade. And to me, if I believe that I need an upgrade and I've seen what Chubb can be, I'm willing to take a $2 million flyer to see if he can be that again. Like, if he doesn't, what are you out? Like you lose $2 million. Okay.
Like,
You have
I
more
would
dead
say
cap
too,
on your roster right now than that, probably, right?
Mixon didn't have that major knee injury that Chubb had. You know what I mean?
That's
So that's
true.
kind of a different story. My thing is just I know Chubb's a waste of time. Like, yeah, okay, $2 million flyer. Okay, if he doesn't work out, but if you already know he's not going to work out, why go through it? You know what I mean? Which that's my whole thing.
No, Broski, is you don't know, and right now
I do know. Broski knows.
And Broski, right now you don't know, and you're saying, well, we'll take an undrafted free agent rookie Wheeler and a 7th round pick, Manangai, over a guy who, if he's even half of what he was, is better than both those guys and anything we've seen out of. Well, if he's half of what he was,
I'm just tired of the Bears reaching for temporary patch jobs with old crusty players. Like, get a young stud running back in the room and let's bring him into the system the right way.
Well, first off, good morning, John. Sup to you, man. Good to see you, brother. But that's the thing with running back. Everything at running back is a 2-year patch job. Unless you get that 7 or 8 year back, which there are very few and far between, it's unlike any other position on the roster with the turnover rate. So, like, if I can get Chubb in there over a 7th round pick or undrafted free agent rookie on a $2 or $3 million a year flyer, and he's even half of what he was, he's going to elevate the running back room. Why not? I mean, that's all I'm asking is why not? I'm not even saying I would do it, but hey, there's nothing that's going on today. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Ben.
the point I think that Broski's trying to make here is that he doesn't want to take away the actual game reps of these young running backs that they could develop. Because we've seen multiple times super late round picks and undrafted running backs come out and be legit dudes. I can understand what Broski's saying about not wanting to take the gamble on somebody that's that old with an injury history.
But what game reps?
I don't disagree with it either, but I just think it's worth the flyer, and I think another team will see that. I think Denver, for example, I don't see Chubb going this season unsigned, especially with Denver's running back room. I could see Denver taking that flyer, and all I'm saying is if Chubb comes back at 60% of what he was, like, he's going to look better than those 7th round and undrafted players, And Broski might be like, oh, well, maybe we should have taken the flyer on Chubb, you know, like,
And
or maybe he won't because maybe he's just that committed to his philosophy. But like,
or Broski gets proven right and he gets to do the Woody tour.
well, and that's, either way, though, that works. But the point is, like, what snaps are we giving the 7th rounder? What snaps are we giving Ian Wheeler if he's running back 4? I mean, these guys are going to get mostly special teams play at best, right? So, I mean, and look we might have zero faith in Roshan. Like, what has Rojo really shown? I like Rojo. He's once in a blue moon we've seen something good out of him. And granted, it's not totally his fault. Part of it's getting opportunity. I get that. But maybe, the coaching staff has no faith in Rojo, and they're like, we'd rather have Nick Chubb than Rojo. I mean, holding out hope for a guy that's on the roster to be that next guy versus a guy who we know has been that guy, and if he's at 50 to 75% of what he was is better than the other 3 guys in the locker room, worth a $3 million flyer. $2 or $3 million flyer. That's all I'm saying is, generating a little conversation on that. But I mean,
you got to think too. It's also the appeal of the mystery box.
it could even be Nick Chubb.
Yep.
I mean, and look, I think there are a lot of teams in the league who could take a $2 or $3 million a year flyer on Nick Chubb and it would do well. I'm just the Bears. I happen to know better, but like you're right, Denver could be that team. Seattle could be that
Kansas
team.
City.
Yeah, Miami even. Jacksonville. Hey, what about Tampa? Right? Dallas could be that team. I mean, there are, I don't know, well, the Saints don't have any money, but, Kansas City. Right? I mean, there are teams. I think Chubb is worth it because last year on a crappy Cleveland team that, really didn't inspire much of anything, he still did okay for the 10 games he played coming off injury. You saw a few small flashes of past glory last year in a couple of his runs. I mean, but he's the type of running back that complements what we have already in Chicago. It would work. It would work in Vegas. It would work in a lot of places. And I think, really, if you look at the players still on the board, I mean, Keenan Allen's still out there. He could work in a few places too. Von Miller could help out a couple teams. There are some veterans out there who could help. I'm just picking on Nick Chubb right now because, there have been a couple articles the last couple of days about him.
I would take him in Vegas right now. Like I said, give me Nick Chubb on a $2 million flyer and let him coach, let him mentor Genty. Like for me, it's worth, even if I don't give Chubb a single carry, it's worth $2 million just for him to mentor Genty.
Yeah. And Motown Mitch with this comment, we already know Ben Johnson's not going to work out. His history repeats itself. What history? This is a first for you guys in Detroit. That's why you guys are all so butthurt he left because you're not used to your coaches actually being signed away to become head coaches.
This is another Detroit Lion fan fallacy. They're acting like the Bears stole Detroit Lions players. They really want to say that. And they still even say, oh, it's the Chicago Lions or whatever. And it's like, actually, the Lions signed former Bears players, not the other way around. The Bears haven't signed anyone from Detroit. So
Lions fans sound delusional right now. It's like they're riding the broom hoping that the Bears fail and Ben Johnson fails just so they can say, see, we told you you sucked.
They won 15 games last year, and out of the 4 teams in the NFC North, they're like the crybaby, like miserable people this offseason. It's so funny.
Well, I would be miserable too if I won 15 games and then went one and done.
Well, you know what's funny is
to a rookie quarterback.
It does make for a pretty miserable time.
There are more former Bears on the Detroit Lions than there are former Lions on the Chicago Bears.
Exactly. And I kind of want to, I don't know. I kind of wanted to bring something up, a little, different topic, but staying in the division about the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, go for it. We got 20 minutes left or so.
Yeah. So, I get like these Vikings fans, they're kind of like Detroit fan light right now. They kind of think their shit doesn't stink. They kind of think there's some perennial powerhouse team and all this, and it's like, well, let's just lead it off with, the Vikings have never won a Super Bowl, and they haven't even been in a Super Bowl since 1977. Let's also look at this legendary quarterback whisperer of a coach, KOC. So he's going into year 4, and guess what? The Vikings haven't won a single playoff game since KOC's been coach, but he's so good. Also, Mr. Quarterback whisperer head coach, they're still unresolved every season at quarterback. So, they had Kirk Cousins and Dobbs and Mullins starting, a couple years ago. And then last year it's Sam Darnold. Now this year it's, JJ or Sam Howell. And it's like, yeah, for being such a good quarterback coach, they're very unstable at the quarterback position on top of not winning a single playoff game yet. So what are we really talking about, Vikings fans? Like, why are you guys getting all boastful and braggadocious and stuff? Like, you guys haven't done shit. Thank you.
I also just wanted to answer. I think it was Bill asked the question. He said, "So is Geno Smith a better quarterback for the Raiders than Gardner Minshew?" 1,000%, yes, absolutely.
Even John's actually agreeing with you, Broski. Luka, of course, coming from a guy who's never. You know what though? Like the 4K club. Okay, you know what though? Let's take this a step further, Broski. Because Lucas says, coming from a guy who's never seen a 4K quarterback. Okay, does throwing for 4,000 yards in a season mean you win a Super Bowl? Obviously not. If you're in,
I mean, what's it getting the Vikings? You know what I mean? Playoff losses, no Super Bowl appearances. Like, way to go! Like, you guys are like Detroit Light right now. It's freaking hilarious.
Think about it. I saw the stat. I got to remember the stat, and JB might have it. Actually, Geno's better than Ozzy.
But they were talking about Minshew, JB.
JB might have the stat on this, but if you look at Super Bowl winners, like how many of them threw over 4,000 yards that season? I think you'll find it's a mixed bag. Like 4K.
See, I would take the bet that the majority have thrown at least close to 4,000. I think your outliers are the guys that are under.
I mean, look at you're.
But there are some. I mean, look at Trent Dilfer, for example.
Yeah, Caleb threw for 3,500 last year, right? I mean, 4,000 is okay, whatever, cool mark. But like, if you look at when guys are winning Super Bowls, like, there we go, 32% over 4K. That's it. So a third. So 2/3 of the guys who won Super Bowls didn't throw for 4K.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Brady did every year. I know Brad Johnson did it, and I don't think Flacco did. I mean, I would have to go down the list, but
Jalen Hurts threw for less yards than Caleb Williams last year, and Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that's an example right from last year. Yeah.
And you can sit there and say about Green Bay crying about the tush push and all, but we were one of the few teams that actually stopped it last year.
Yeah, I mean, no. Yeah, Montana was the first 4K quarterback. So Luka, the 4K comment really holds no water when it comes to what Broski was saying. Like, having a 4K yard passer, okay, I mean, it's a cool stat, I guess, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win a Super Bowl. I tell you, if you ask Eagles fans if they rather have Hurts throw for 4,000 yards or win a ring, and he only throws for sub 3,000 yards, I think they'll take the sub 3,000 yards in the ring over him throwing for 4K.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me add a little something to my little Vikings rant here. Let's not forget they were absolutely embarrassed in the playoffs last year by the Rams. Like, embarrassed. Would they score 9 points? They were freaking embarrassed. So, let's be careful. Fans of the Queens, when we go talking about other teams and other teams' quarterbacks, it's like, why don't you look yourself in the mirror first, guys? Because you haven't done anything.
Why don't you get one that sticks for more years? Because now you're in that. Look, the only two teams have had the same starting quarterback for now 2 seasons in a row. Oh, it's everyone but Minnesota over the last 3 years. I mean, the Bears, we may be on a carousel, but at least we keep these guys for about 3 years before we change them out. The Packers, they keep their guys for decades. And, And the Lions, look at Stafford was a good quarterback who did nothing for you guys because you guys did nothing for him. I mean, really didn't do anything to help the dude out. And you know, we'll see what's up with Goff. You know, Mitch is favorite guy in the world, best quarterback in the NFC. Yet went one and done in the playoffs with the number 1 seed. So, you know,
But KOC is a genius, Ken. He's a
Yeah.
quarterback guru.
Hey,
He's-
from what he did with Sam Darnold, until proven otherwise, I'm going to say that he can work some magic with quarterbacks because Sammy Boy sure sucked beforehand.
Well, that whole-
Sammy
but look
Boy's
at-
not old. Sammy Boy has talents. Sammy Boy also has a lot of NFL experience. So going into the Vikings, you know what I
and
mean?
they
So
also had a really good defense, 2 really good receivers, a really good tight end, a really good running back in Aaron Jones. And I wouldn't say a great offensive line, but a better than serviceable offensive line. They had a good team that was there. That helps too. Like you have a good offense, a better offensive line. What the Bears had, of course, your quarterback's going to look better overall. But
Yeah. I thought the Vikings' offensive line was actually pretty good during the regular season. It just, for whatever reason, in that playoff game, the Rams just learned. They just watched film and knew how to attack them. Just made them look inept.
They look like the Vikings of years past in that playoff game because the line was much better. Because coming to the season, like Kirk Cousins was getting hammered back there when he was a Viking, and that was always the thing. Like they got to get better in the O line, and they did get better in the O line last year. And so the Ginger Jesus had a good year. But I remember a certain Vikings fan telling everyone they had to shut up and sit down because the Vikings were in charge. And unless you were in first place, you had no room to talk. Blah 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 blah. Now he just trolls shows and doesn't do his own show much anymore, and it has a new starting quarterback. Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm with Mitch. I feel like Vikings fans, at least over Lions fans, have a little more consistency of having good teams. They don't have to spread it out over 3 decades. Like they get a good team every couple years. The Bears get a decent team every couple years. The Lions have took 3 decades.
I give KOC credit though. Like I think he is a good quarterbacks coach. To get what he got out of Sam Darnold, like when nobody else could get it, like you can't just ignore that. Like you can give credit to the offensive line, you can give credit to the receivers, you can give credit to everybody else, but you have to give some credit to O'Connell as well because, like, think about it. Sam had never done that anywhere, and he'd had a lot of coaches. How many quarterback coaches has Sam Darnold gone through, and nobody could get that out of him, and then O'Connell gets it out of him.
Joe, let's switch it up a little bit, though, right? He was the first coach who said just be a game manager. Everywhere else, he had to try to be a rock star. This is the first time he said just be a game manager. You don't have to be a rock star. I mean, it's not like he did anything like, oh, my God. He just be an average quarterback is what he told him. Just be a game manager. And
that's fine. But to even do that, though, is still shows competence as a coach. Like,
I agree with
you should get credit for doing the right things.
I agree with you. I mean, look at and like he's like Matt LaFleur in some ways, right? Matt LaFleur gets a lot of love, gets a lot of that Packers offense because he puts them in the right situation with his play calls and the things he does, right? I think KOC did the same thing with Darnold last year. He's a good coach. I'm not taking that away from him at all. He is a good coach who put his players in a position to succeed. We've seen LaFleur do it. We saw, the coaching staff in Detroit do it with that team. We did not see the Bears do that at all last year offensively. Defensively, for the first half of the year until they fired the DC for the Dallas Cowgirls. We saw that defensively, but never offensively out of Eberflus's teams. So I mean, if you really want to talk about a difference in coaching, there you go. Putting your guys in a situation to succeed versus not. And he was the first one to put Sam Darnold in a position to succeed. So to Broski's point, it wasn't like Sam Darnold was a know-nothing. He was a guy with a lot of experience. He'd seen a lot. He liked farmers. He knew a thing or two because he'd seen a thing or two. And finally had a coach who put him in the position to succeed. And you know what? To Darnold's credit, he succeeded. Now, does that mean he's going to do that with JJ? I think the odds are pretty good that JJ will succeed because of his coaching. So I agree with you, Joe, in that regard. But to Broski's
My
point,
thing is too, I'm not saying Kelsey's a bad coach. I'm just saying, like, Vikings fans need to pump the brakes on things a little bit too, because they're getting a little carried away with themselves. And I'm not sure which team this Luca guy in the comments is a fan of either. Do you guys know?
Vikings.
Well, yeah, Luke is a Vikings fan.
Okay.
Yeah, we know a thing or two, Nicholas, because we've seen a thing or two. Bump, 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 bump.
Welcome to Ken and Ken for your daily dose of cringe.
I know I've made the day when I make Ken go, oh Jesus. But I
was going to say I usually do it a couple times a show.
It means we were hitting the marks. But I mean, I agree with Broski. Like, honestly, Minnesota and Detroit, like, tap the brakes. You've had some recent success, but none of us have had Green Bay success because we've all been dysfunctional for years. And Green Bay has been stuck in mediocrity because of that success, because they've never been able to get those lower round talent guys, lower first round talent guys that would elevate their team, right? And that they've been stuck. So we've been in kind of a weird division. Really, we've been a weird division. We've been dysfunctional in our front offices and coaching. We've been stuck at a level, Green Bay, while that level has been winning division championships. It hasn't produced much else. Because as the NFC North since 1980, 5 Super Bowl appearances, that's it since 1980. In 50-plus years, we're averaging a Super Bowl once a decade, which when you think about it is terrible. But when you look at some of these other divisions, it's crap.
Hey, I'll take winning the Super Bowl roughly every 15 years or so versus not even sniffing at it.
Well, but I mean, that's just it. We have, 2 teams in the division have done that over the last 50 years. That's it. It's just those division. Vikings fans, Lions fans trying to talk like they're like on the level playing field of even the Packers, let alone the Chiefs or someone else. Forget about it. None of us are there yet in this division. Until we have sustained success over 4, 5, 6 seasons, you're not there. Lions fans, you're getting close to being at that level, but you're not there yet. Vikings fans, you're always one good season, and then we don't hear from you for 2 or 3 years, kind of like the Bears.
I think it's hilarious with, like, Lions fans too. They'll always be like, "Oh yeah, well we had 30 players or we had 20 players injured last year, blah blah blah." And then, but if an opposing fan base mentions something about injuries about the Lions, and they say, "Hey, you're wishing injuries on our players. That's not very nice," and then they start crying. But they're the first ones to make that excuse. "Oh, our players were injured." But if you point it out, then, "Hey, you're wishing for injuries."
When we had a bunch of players on IR and we were in the Super Bowl hunt, we came back with a Super Bowl trophy.
Boom. It's about getting it done. Football is a sport for men, for gladiators, not little crybabies like Dan Campbell.
Comments about the schedule being released next week from Bill and JB, and believe it or not, Hallis Hall will be live when the schedule is being released next Wednesday night. So we'll be covering it live on Hallis Hall next Wednesday night. There'll be no Hallis Hall this Sunday night as we are taking Sunday morning as we're going to take Mother's Day off. So quick programming note on that. But yeah, next week we get the schedule and we get to see what the what I was about to say the hilarity is going to be, and I think there might be some hilarity with the schedule. But it's funny because I think the hopium flows deep in the NFC North, and my God, all 4 teams are on that hopium crack pipe every year, and for different reasons. And like honestly, just the dose of reality is our division's not that good. If in 5 decades we've had 2 teams get to a Super Bowl, and we've won a total of 3 Super Bowls in those 50 years, losing 2, winning 3, right? Not that great. And when you have 2 teams in the division who haven't even been to a Super Bowl in 50 plus years, one has never been to a Super Bowl, it's kind of hard to be talking this perennial we're great trash when none of us really are, and not even the Packers. The Packers have been beneficiaries of a really shitty division. I mean, in all honesty, we've all been pretty shitty, and the Packers have been beneficiaries of it, and they've been pretty good. I mean, dude, I'm not taking anything away from Aaron Rodgers and the MVP seasons. They've been a good team. Not taking that away from them, but they've been a good team in a shitty division.
Okay, I'll give you that because I was going to say we only play 6 games in the division. There's a whole lot of other games that happen besides that. Okay,
that's usually 3 to 5 wins. That you know what I'm saying. And look, there's a reason why the Packers haven't really gotten further than they probably could because they've been stuck in that position where they don't make bold moves in free agency. They don't make bold swings in the draft, moving up in the draft to get guy. They've always kind of stood pat. It's been their model. They've had success in winning divisions, but they've never been able to ascend to that elite level because of it.
And that's why I'm so excited now that Goody's starting to do some of these moves. Because, granted, we're phrasing it a whole lot different, but I've been bitching about us picking in the 20s there for years now.
Yeah.
And not even that, we got to suck for a year or two so we get low. Fuck that. Trade up. There's a reason why you can trade in the draft. Go out and do it sometimes.
I mean, to be honest, in Jordan Love's first season, it would have almost been better if they had missed the playoffs and gotten a better draft pick than doing what they did and have to go suffer further back. But overachieving like the Commanders did last year and the Packers did 2 years ago, there's nothing wrong with that either. You always like to see your team overachieve, but then the problem becomes unless I think the Commanders took decent steps to maybe correct themselves from that overachievement to kind of maintain and stay at that level. We'll see how it pans out, but the Packers don't do that. The Packers don't make the big moves. The last couple of years, they've started to make some moves, so maybe they'll get there. But I think the other part of that, though, Ken, and I know we're getting short on time now as we get to this topic, is the rest of the division has kind of forced the Packers to finally do it, whereas before the division was not.
I don't care what the root cause of it is, as long as we get this shit done. I don't care if it's that Goody was in the back rolling dice, throwing chicken bones, whatever the fuck gets it done. Let's start making these changes.
Yeah. And Bill, we're not
Pour a shot of rum for Jobu.
And Bill, we're not going to do predictions. I've seen you ask me 4 times this morning. We're not doing record predictions at this point. We've got like an entire summer and an entire camp to worry about doing predictions.
Once we get the schedule, then we'll start thinking about that.
A really bad schedule breakdown. If it follows what's happened in years past, I'll tell you what. All of us will be wrong because everyone will say, look at the schedule. We can win that. We can win that. Oh, we're all 13-win teams. It happens every single year when people break down their schedules. Lions fans will have them at 15. Adam Rank will have the Bears winning 16 this year, I swear.
No, it'll be a full 17. You really think Adam Rank's going to have you lose any game? Come
Bears
on.
are going 20-0, winning the Super Bowl. Hey, what's the money line for this year's opening game live from Mogadishu?
Yeah, there you go. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that next Thursday, maybe, Bill, a little bit. But on that note, oh my God, live from Mogadishu. It's the NFL. We'll be back here again tomorrow morning. Thank you for making this part of one. Enjoy being with you. It's a good conversation. Enjoy the day. Remember, JB is next, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.